Hi, my name's Julie and I'm with North Georgia GMRS Network, and today we have a real treat. We have Gary Beckstedt here, who is the founder of the network, and we're going to ask him a few questions.
Hey Julie, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you doing?
Great, good to see you.
Thank you for coming all this way.
Yeah, I was told you guys got a bunch of questions you want to ask me.
Well, we know a lot about the background of North Georgia GMRS, but our listeners and viewers here do not. So we thought we'd kind of pull them in and let them get a glimpse of what you do and who you are and what this is all about. So,
Okay, great.
Back in 2007, what led you to begin building the nation's largest GMRS repeater network?
Back then when I discovered GMRS, I thought it was a pretty cool thing. I had played with commercial equipment, had my own commercial site, and radio was in my blood. But when I read about GMRS and that it was a family type operation, I thought this would be a good thing to try and put back into the community. So I looked into it. I discovered that there was one repeater in North Georgia, and I went ahead and thought that if I added one in Duluth, Georgia, it would be closer to my family and my friends, and we could just start talking as GMRS was designed to do, and it kind of took off from there.
That's amazing. It has taken off from there for sure.
Never would have thought it had grown to the potential and size that it has today, 17 some years later. It's really been quite a fun ride, to be honest with you.
I'm sure it has. I know just in the little bit of time we've been here, seeing the growth, which we'll talk on in a moment about that as well. So now that we've grown to encompass such a large part of North Georgia and South Tennessee, where do you see the future growth for North Georgia GMRS?
That's a good question. We have built out a tremendous amount of repeater sites over the span of time that we've been involved with North Georgia GMRS. We've used up a lot of the frequency space. We have 20 plus repeaters in operation. I don't necessarily see any more future repeater growth, so to speak, except in certain areas that are pockets that maybe need some help and support in that area. But my thinking, to answer your question, my thinking is I pretty much see us working in the area of building our organization with the children and bringing them into radio, because our overall experience has been if we get our families involved and the children involved, it's a very fulfilling experience for what the families have invested into. And the other proponent is I want to see the youth of the amateur radio community grow, and I think North Georgia GMRS is a perfect spawning ground to make that happen. So
awesome.
my answer to that question is I want to grow the family organization and see the youth become active members and users of our system.
Well, speaking of getting the youth active and involved, how do you see that happening?
Well, I think encouraging the family members as they are today to get their children involved, to let them know that it's okay. Even for the adults, it's a very intimidating task to pick that microphone up for the first time and talk. So I think that if we make them comfortable and realize that we're inviting them and their children to be involved with us, it will happen, hopefully, naturally. And there's some things I haven't reviewed with my management team yet, some ideas I have about what I want to do concerning youth going into this year and next year, but I'm hopeful that will reap some benefits as well. So we just want to make it comfortable and inviting for the family and children.
I love that. Absolutely. So how long does it take to develop a site for a repeater?
Wow, that's a big question. It can happen quickly and it can take months. Just depends on what the site is. If I get a call where we've been invited to come to a tower site and look at putting up a repeater, Usually involves planning a trip to go visit the site, see what the site's about. I'm pretty strict about how we do work, how we conform to rules and regulations that the FCC governs us by, making sure the equipment's installed properly. So I want to make sure the place we're being invited to is conducive of a good environment for our investment. If we decided to go and we want to move in there and take that over, there's a lease involved. We work out the negotiation on the lease, who pays the lease, how much is it going to cost, insurance, utilities. We have to make arrangements for. Is there internet there or not? Do we have to bring in internet on our own? And then procure the equipment, order the equipment. We keep a lot of stuff in stock, but if we don't, we have to order it and wait for it to come in. And then we're ready. We have to put together a tower crew and a climbing crew and assemble. And that's just not a couple of guys. We've had as many as a team of 10 individuals, 10 skilled people who know their job and their assignment to perform in order to hoist antennas up to the top of the towers, hoist the cables, secure them. It seems like, Julie, every time I did a tower job, it was usually door-to-door, 14-hour day.
Wow.
It's a long day, long day. We've spent as much as 8 to 10 hours on a tower working from sun up to sundown. So it's a lot of work, a lot of money. The costs can range anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 by the time you're finished properly installing a site and getting it ready to turn it on.
My golly, that is quite a production. So you say it costs between $3,000 to $10,000?
Correct. That depends on what's on the tower already, what kind of antennas that may be available for us to use, or do we have to buy new ones? The current antenna that we buy today, the DB420, which is the premier gold standard for a repeater antenna for UHF, runs around $2,300 just for that antenna.
Wow.
And then we've got feed cable that goes to it, attachments, kits, ground kits, connectors, all sorts of hardware go into the installation.
And then you've got maintenance.
Hopefully it'll last a good while, but there's times when maintenance comes along. Lightning strikes will hit us, or there'll be some issue. Maybe somebody else is on the tower and they drop a wrench and they put a chunk into our cable, and we have to discover that and then go in and replace it or repair it. So maintenance comes along, usually not in the beginning, but later in years,
Right.
Maintenance gets pretty regular. We try to visit our sites at least once a year to check the health and wellness of our systems. We have test equipment we've purchased that examine the repeater, its signal output, the antenna health, the cable health, ground testing, and all those things that we look at constantly.
That's amazing. You are always on the go, aren't you?
It seems like it.
I bet it does.
I thought for sure when I retired back in 2015, life was going to get easier, but boy, it's just like I'm booked up.
Yeah, it's just ramping up now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think that pretty much covers the questions that I had, other than, what do you attribute the growth that we've seen for North Georgia GMRS?
That is a very interesting question, and I know all of us have sat around and discussed this and tried to figure that out. I think there's been some variables that have played into that. When we went from just a voluntary contribution organization to a mandate on a paid membership, I was very fearful that our membership would just dwindle away and people wouldn't want to put any money into it. And today that's proven to be quite the opposite. I think folks see North Georgia GMRS as an organization that does its best to provide a service to our membership with many different things that we do, like the net that you and Justin do, the attendance to the different Jeep Fests and Ham Fests that we do. And I believe the growth really ramped up surprisingly when COVID hit. You know, when COVID hit, we had no idea, all of us as humans in the United States had no idea what was about to happen. And I've spoken about this in the past where we stepped up, we became more available, more prevalent, and more visible to the public through the nets that you guys have been putting on. And we were there for everybody. And we found that folks migrated to radio, to talk on the radio, to stay in communications with everybody. And we saw a large uptick in memberships through that period and continuing on. And of course, the other thing we don't like to talk about too much is the what if scenarios. And, you know, what do we do if cell towers drop out? We don't have any communications, and folks are hungry and thirsty for an alternative means of communications. And I'd like to believe that our network provides that at this time.
There's also been some changes that we've seen visually with the web page and Facebook. And
right. That has been a big thing for me. We have kind of rocked along with different scenarios of our website and different flavors and colors and stuff like that. And I was introduced to a young lady by the name of Kate Karen. She has a company called Authenticate, and she was kind of interesting at first. She kept kind of going at me like, you need to change your brand, you need to change your brand, you need to look a lot better. And I'm, you know, at first I'm thinking, oh, you know, I'm the owner of the company and here's this lady telling me what I need to do. And then I just dawned on me, she's right. We don't have a real logo. We don't have something that we can hang our hat on. So I challenged her, said, show me what you got. And as you guys see it today, Kate has revolutionized our organization with the logos that she has branded us with, and has done an outstanding job, both on the branding of the smirch that we offer, the logos on our trailers, to our website that she's created for us. She owes a great applause in how easy she has made it for me to process memberships with the new system that we have. And we were all worried how that was going to work because we worked with a system for quite a while. But Authenticate has revolutionized North Georgia GMRS, and I'm grateful.
Yes, we are. We are definitely grateful. And you can tell that so many people now are wearing the North Georgia GMRS swag with pride.
Yeah.
So exciting stuff. Well, Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to come all this way and to sit with us and to tell us a little bit about the network and what you've done. And we'll have more interviews just like this with some of the other people that are behind the scenes so that you can kind of get a little taste of what North Georgia GMRS is all about.
Thank you, Julie. It's good talking with you.
Thank you.